There is a quietness that sometimes settles over you in moments when the world slows and its sounds fall away, leaving only the hush of your own thinking. The gentle spill of morning light on your window, the distant echo of laughter outside, the soft weight of your own breathing, these become the only signals left to guide you. You walk through familiar rooms wearing a sense of strangeness, a gentle veil of distance stretched thin across every surface. In these moments, the edge between what's real and what is imagined blurs softly, not with confusion, but with a peculiar clarity. You feel both present and removed, like you're living in the world and outside of it, a silent observer to life's unfolding scenes. Yet beneath this serenity lies a pulse of bittersweet tension, the haunting paradox you carry. You are awake, so sharply, so deeply awake, that the world itself sometimes feels sleepwalking beside you. This is the blessing and the weight. The more you see, the greater your ache for connection. The further you roam within your own mind, the more mysterious the bridges back to others become. Your story often begins long before you realize it, inscribed in the precious, invisible patterns laid down by childhood. Perhaps you were the child who lingered near windows, watching raindrops trace winding paths down the glass. You asked questions that spun the grown-ups into silence. You saw secrets in everything, a stray glance, a shifting cloud, a note remembered in a forgotten melody. Childhood for a deep thinker can become its own training ground. Acceptance sometimes hinges not on the vibrancy of your thoughts, but on your ability to conceal their depth, to blend in with playground laughter even as your mind races elsewhere. The world teaches you, sometimes gently, sometimes not, to trade wonder for practicality, to exchange intricate daydreams for the security of the ordinary. This conditioning settles quietly, knitting caution into your ways of speaking, moving, and feeling. As you grow, two silent psychological concepts rise to shape your reality: cognitive distancing and emotional overexposure. Cognitive distancing is the constant practice of observing, not just living, one's experience, an inward habit of stepping back from the moment to study it as if from afar. Emotional overexposure is the vulnerability of feeling so much, so deeply, that even simple interactions can flood your senses, demanding retreat. Picture a classroom. You raise your hand with the answer not for attention, but to test whether your insights have a place in this world. The teacher nods, but the moment passes, a fleeting spark, not a bridge. Recall a family dinner. The conversation rushes around you, and you hear every note of uncertainty, every hope unspoken, every thread running beneath the laughter. You speak, not to be heard, but to reach the places others cannot name. Imagine a friendship. You listen for hours, peeling back layers, holding safe space for another's pain, then wonder late at night why your own story feels both heavy and invisible. See yourself on walks alone. You find solace in the quiet simplicity of trees and sky, sensing that nature alone can hold your fullness without turning away. These stories become woven into your memory, their marks both a comfort and a scar. Over time, you learn to protect yourself by withdrawing and analyzing, by layering meaning until reality itself sometimes falls away. You do this. You pause before answering, measuring your words against waves of feeling. You do this. You notice the spaces between sentences, between people, between breaths, filling each one with silent comprehension. You do this. In relationships, you seek the depth beneath familiarity, craving the rare conversation that unravels for hours. You find that intimacy rarely matches your appetite, and so you remain hungry even among friends. You do this. At work, you drift between tasks, haunted by questions that no one else seems to be asking. You want more than efficiency. You crave meaning, nuance, a glimpse of real connection. You do this. Your sense of self-worth rises and falls on waves of reflection. You wonder why your capacity for thought sometimes feels like both a gift and a threat, why clarity can lead to isolation, why your mind's expansiveness leaves you longing for anchor. You do this. In the quiet of your inner dialogue, shadows gather and disperse. You relive old conversations, rewrite your history, imagine less painful outcomes. You offer yourself comfort in the form of questions, sometimes gentle, sometimes tearing. You do this. You walk into solitude as into a sanctuary. Here at least, you are not required to reduce yourself, not pressed to make sense, not challenged to keep up. Here you find peace, not emptiness, but peace. Still, you wonder why the gap does not close, no matter how many truths you trace, no matter how carefully you try to return. You ache for nearness, for the warmth of belonging, for the kind of reality in which you do not feel like a foreigner in your own skin. You long for the world to meet you in the deep end, and you tire of living always at the surface's edge. Here, healing is neither a sprint nor a solution. It is the gradual turning toward yourself, the practice of accepting your depth, not as a failing, but as a power. To begin, you might first learn to honor your distance, to see it not as emptiness or exile, but as a container, a vessel for wisdom others can scarcely imagine. Reframe 1. What if your sensitivity is not a breach from reality, but an added dimension? Not just a wound, but an aperture opening new worlds. Reframe 2. Practice embodiment. Invite yourself gently to touch the tangible. Cold water, soft earth, the pulse at your wrist. Remind yourself that you belong here, in this place, in this time. Reframe 3. Find the others. There are more like you than you think. Seek the quiet communities where people speak in undertones, where ideas swim in the open. There, connection grows slow and true. Reframe 4. Meet yourself with daily truth. Whisper it in the mornings. My way of seeing is not a barrier, it is a doorway. Picture healing as a tide. Slow, inexorable, returning night after night to wash the edges of your soul. You are not meant to erase your depth, but to offer it, to learn how to let your reality be shaped as much by kindness as by clarity. And so it comes, the quotable truth, an anchor for returning whenever you drift too far. You are not adrift in the world because you think deeply. You are a witness to its hidden beauty, chosen to see what others pass by. Your depth is not a darkness, but a lantern. Let yourself belong to the vast, mysterious real, not despite your disconnect, but because of it. Not emptiness, but peace. Not exile, but a different kind of home.